Primož Roglič has won his first Grand Tour of the cycling season, the Giro d'Italia. The Slovenian took 2 stages on course to his second Maglia Rosa, bettering EF Education Easy Post's Richard Carapaz and UAE Team Emirates' Adam Yates, while Mikel Landa and Romain Bardet rounded out the top 5. Despite Corbin Strong's 4 stage wins, Mads Pedersen was the most consistent sprinter on the race, winning the points classification. David Gaudu finished 15th overall, but won the mountains classification, as Juan Ayuso just missed out on the top 5, but was the best young rider at the race. The peloton's attention has now turned to the Tour de France, with tune-up races getting underway. Jonas Vingegaard has set his stall out at the Criterium du Dauphiné. His Visma Lease-A-Bike team have won 4 of the opening 7 stages, and Vingegaard just has to follow his GC rivals Rafael Majka, Santiago Buitrago and Florian Lipovic to win the general classification. Tadej Pogacar and Remco Evenepoel have both opted to race the Tour de Suisse. Therefore, we should see who's the strongest GC competitor to Vingegaard by the end of the 8-day race. Welcome back to MyRider, everybody, and the biggest race of our season is on the horizon. It's the Tour de Suisse, and it is not just big because it's an objective of ours. It is big because of the competition that are coming there. Tadej Pogacar and Remco Evenepoel are already locked in, but here is the team that Intermarché have sent. It includes the likes of Georg Zimmermann for GC and Gerben Tyson for the sprints, and he will have his opportunity on stage 1 at the very least. But no doubt the sprinters field will be just as good as the GC competitors that are at this race, so we've got to stay on our guard.
The 3 climbs that lie within the final 70 kilometres should complicate the endeavours of the sprinters' teams. But once these obstacles are crossed, the road will be far more favourable to a peloton moving at top speed. But there will only be 30 kilometres left before the finish.
Guys, you'll have to watch out for the wind. It could have an impact on the way the race plays out. Have a good stage.
Whoa, what has gone on here? Big crash, and it involves the 2 people that we didn't want it to involve. Gerben Tyson's down, and Georg Zimmermann are down. So our GC competitor and our sprinter are on the deck. We're going to have to figure something out here. I'm going to have to figure out how to get out of this Movistar rider that I'm impaled in at the moment. But we're going to have to sort out a backup sprinter and perhaps a backup GC leader. Does that give us a chance to go stage hunting? Well, who knows, but Lorenzo Rota is going to be our sprinter for the day because Gerben Tyson has injured himself too badly to be competitive in this sprint. But there are plenty of competitors. Jasper Philipsen is here, and that is the only name you really need to know because we have no chance against him in a one-on-one. But there is a very brief climb that takes us to the finish line, and we're going to get Noah Peeters on the front to absolutely rip it up this climb and put some lactic acid in the legs of the sprinters, and it is working. We have dropped the peloton, and now the 2 of us are away at the front of the race. Can we hold it to the line? So Intermarché in a 2-up attack have gone clear at the front, but the peloton are chasing hard behind them. Lorenzo Rota is on the front of this race, but here come the pink parade of EF Education Easy Post, who are performing the perfect lead out at the moment. Their sprinter is Marijn van den Berg, but their train has been usurped by Alpecin Deceuninck, who have put their men towards the front. It's Yuri Holman that's stringing it out at the moment, and EF need to do something. Sweeney's squeezed between the train, and he's trying to get involved. He's setting up Van den Berg, but off goes Philipsen in the centre. Van den Berg on the left, Renard on the right, but Philipsen takes the victory. Lorenzo Rota seemed to cross the line in the top 5 there. He will be disappointed having been caught, but it's a respectable result for Intermarché, but Philipsen wins the stage. So we didn't do too badly in the end. Jasper Philipsen wins ahead of Marijn van den Berg and Alexis Renard, with Lorenzo Rota finishing 4th. But there are no gaps between any of the GC competitors. We can see the likes of Roglič, fresh off his Giro win, are here. But that means Zimmermann has not lost any time, which hopefully, if he recovers from his injuries for tomorrow, is a good sign.
Today's finish is perfect for punchers. It may be worth slipping into the early breakaway. because if we pick up enough King of the Mountains points, we can take the polka dot jersey. The team members of the favourites will probably manage the time gaps in order to fight for victory on the final climb. It will be difficult for us to influence the outcome. Good race to you all!
So the sports director wants us in the break, and that is exactly what we are going to do with Gerben Thijssen, but he's dragged an eclectic range of riders along with him. Eddie Fine is up the road, which means this breakaway is already going the distance. I can feel it. Fine is the GOAT, so we've got to follow him with Gerben Thijssen. The problem though is that Jasper Philipsen himself, the leader's jersey, is marking the moves. So we're going to be dragging Philipsen up to this leading group as well. Let's see how this goes. Well, the breakaway has 1 minute. It's not totally gone clear, but it is 8 riders, and there are a couple of good rulers in there. There is Lopez for Euskaltel Euskadi, there's Paul Mikel in there, Yevgeny Fedorov, Eni Fine, and Edward Pradesh, as well as Niels Eekhoff and Jasper Philipsen, who has done no work. He has just been controlling this one to make sure that the breakaway doesn't go too far ahead of the peloton that are keeping it on a very tight leash indeed. But we're up there with Gerben Thijssen, and we're going to try and compete for the King of the Mountains points that come at the top of this first climb of the day. Although, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, because of Gerben's crash on the previous stage, we won't be able to use our full attack bar. So this could be an interesting experiment to see how badly it does affect you. Off we go now, and Paul Mikel has immediately got the jump on us. We've got good acceleration, but of course we can't use all of it, and Paul Mikel is going clear at the front. This is going to be very difficult to win any of the King of the Mountain climbs. Certainly not this one, because Paul Mikel takes maximum points over the first climb of the day. So with that in mind, we are going to push this second climb from the foot, and we clearly are doing that because our blue stamina is very close to completely evaporating. Meanwhile, riders are being dropped off the back of the peloton, who are still just over a minute behind with 114 kilometers to go. They are not letting this breakaway go at all, but we've committed and we're going to go 110% at this breakaway. Try and get more King of the Mountains points, and riders are being shed off the back. Eddie Fine's gone, Niels Eekhoff has gone, and Gerben Thijssen has gone clear at the front. Let's see if anybody is going to chase this down, but at the moment we're on course for 5 points. The gap is 12 seconds, and it looks like they are out of energy, as are we, to be fair, but we have got a 10-second gap. They are sprinting for it now, but I think it might just be too late. We're going to get to the line and take 5 points. Fantastic business from Gerben Thijssen, who moves himself into the lead of the King of the Mountains classification. Well, the breakaway did a good job to stay away for as long as they did, but they have just been reeled in with 40 kilometers to go, and now we're going for the intermediate sprint with Georg Zimmermann to try and take some bonus seconds. Gerben Thijssen is totally shattered. Schoins is going on our left, Philipsen on our right. He's going to take maximum points. We're going to look for bonus seconds, and it looks like we might just find them. 2 bonus seconds it is for Georg Zimmermann's GC. That is a brilliant result at the intermediate sprint. Let's see if we can continue that into a stage win. And we're on to the final climb now. Michael Storer has gone clear at the foot and looks set to take maximum points, but we're going to try and sweep up the rest of them with Georg Zimmermann. There's an attack on the right hand side, perhaps to get to my wheel, although Ben Healy has just gone straight around me and is going for the points himself. We're going to try and stick to the wheel of the Irishman and on the bike throw take 3rd place and 2 points, which means Michael Storer and Gerben Thijssen are tied on the same amount of points. Into the final moments of this race then, and Lidl-Trek are controlling it for Giulio Ciccone. They've got Schoins on the front trying to set a harsh tempo at the foot of the climb. It's a 1 kilometer effort, but it is very, very steep. It's a day for the punchers, and Lidl-Trek are trying to set up Ciccone and Skjelmose to go for the stage win, but other teams are in and around the place. UAE Team Emirates are up there as well, as is the yellow jersey of Jasper Philipsen, who is clinging on, but he is just being dropped off the rear now as Pogacar goes off the tempo of Georg Zimmermann. This is him hitting out for glory into the hoarded section. Pogacar with Roglic on the wheel, trying to come round his countryman, but it's the Slovenian in the World Champions jersey that pulls away, and it's a jog in the park for Tadej Pogacar. That is a message sent to Jonas Vingegaard. Anything that you can do, I can do better. So, stage win for the world champion, and it moves himself into the yellow jersey. 11 seconds ahead of Primoz Roglic. Alexander Vlasov took the bonus seconds for third place, and Gal and Yates rounded out to the top 5. Georg Zimmermann finished just under a minute down on Tadej Pogacar, which puts him in the top 15. So we're going to try and fraud ourselves a top 10 with Georg Zimmermann. I think it's more than possible.
A 3-kilometre ramp at over 10%. There's no doubt that only the most explosive riders can play a leading role.
On to stage 3 then, and it's time to get Gerben Tyson back into the breakaway because it's a time trial the next stage, so everybody will have their energy back to full, and that means that we can use up our better riders getting into the breakaway on this particular stage. So Tyson's going to go up the road. Let's see who's going to follow him. A lot of riders was the answer to the question who would follow Gerben Tyson. 15 are up the road, including us. We even tried to get Noah Peeters in there as a second option, but that didn't end up happening. So just Tyson up the road for Intermarché Wanty, and we're going to continue to try and go for these King of the Mountain points, but it's going to be a lot more difficult because A, there are more riders, and B, there are better riders in this breakaway. The likes of Wout Poels, who's going up my inside right now, Scaroni's in there, and plenty of other good riders. Mauro Schmid I'm looking at, Chris Harper, and these riders are from multiple teams, so it is going to be increasingly difficult. We got forced out around that corner, but whatever, I don't think we were going to win it anyway. Scaroni takes the points. Second climb then, and the most notable thing about this breakaway for me is that FDJ have 3 riders in there. They've got Romain Gregoire for the hill at the end, and they've got Stefan Küng and Quentin Paché to set this one up. So that tells you a lot about the standard of riders and the standard of teams represented in this breakaway, which just means that we're going to have to follow, I think, especially after our escapade yesterday. We're just going to follow because we're all out of energy compared to these guys who haven't been in the previous stages breakaways. So we're going to compete, obviously, and try and cling onto the wheels like we're doing now at this King of the Mountains point, but we're not going to get involved towards the front for King of the Mountains points. What we are going to do though is have a crack at the intermediate sprints because there may be a chance. The problem though is that Alpecin Deceuninck have again put a rider in the breakaway, and that is Henry Ulig, who might compete with us, especially given the fact we can't use all of our red bar, so we've had to go early. Everybody else is sprinting behind, there goes Ulig, and we cannot compete at the intermediate sprint either. Maybe I put too much trust in Gerben Tyson. 60 kilometers to go in the stage, and Tyson has been caught. The breakaway has split into many pieces. There's now 5 riders at the front of the race, and the peloton are 2.5 minutes behind. Noah Peeters is towards the back of the peloton. He's been protecting Georg Zimmermann all day and is about to yam in the clutch and end off his day's work. It was a respectable ride, and he's dropping with some respectable riders, the likes of Kobe Hoosens. Meanwhile, up front, the remnants of the breakaway have been reeled in, and it is time for the GC competitors to show themselves on the steep, hilly terrain. It's Primoz Roglic that's pulling away at the moment, and Matthias Skjelmose has insisted it's up to him to chase it down. Tadej Pogacar says thank you very much for the wheel, and gets on to the back of Roglic. Once again, it's the 2 Slovenians at the front of this race. We saw it on the previous stage. Tadej Pogacar is going to go over the top of this climb, and it's going to be a descent and a flat finish this time. No steep gradients all the way to the line from this point onwards, and it's 3 riders that look like they're going to contest the sprint. Pogacar in the yellow jersey at the front, Primoz Roglic for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe second, and Lidl-Trek's Matthias Skjelmose in the centre as we look at it. All 3 of them are going to sprint it out together, and it is no competition whatsoever because Pogacar on the near side takes the victory, arms in the air, 2 straight stage wins. Thank you very much, says the yellow jersey. It's like real life, isn't it? Tadej Pogacar makes it look easy once again, taking the stage win ahead of Roglic and Skjelmose. Maxim van Gils won the sprint behind, and Louis Barret a respectable top 10 for us. That moves him up into the top 15, and you might be thinking, where's Remco? Well, we'll find that one out next episode because there is a little storyline in there. Leave a like on the video if you want to see that. Subscribe if you're new, and there is a playlist of all of the previous episodes so you can catch up if you've missed any. But for now, stay safe, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.